Welcome to the eNETEmployer How-To video series. This lesson will discuss how to perform a payroll calculation and finalize a normal or regular payroll sequence with eNETEmployer. Normal pay runs are the default method and are typically the most common used pay type, where each sequence follows a set schedule for the year, such as biweekly 26, semi-monthly 24, and so on. If you need to learn more about special pay types, such as additional pays, extra pays, or reversal pays, please view our how-to video entitled Running Additional, Extra, or Reversal Pays in eNETEmployer. We'll begin today's lesson by adding and defining a new normal pay sequence, entering the employee work hours, and finally calculating the payroll. We'll then run a report to verify our payroll results and complete the process by closing the payroll. If you follow the steps shown in this video, each pay period should run smoothly and efficiently. eNETEmployer is flexible and allows you to calculate your payroll as many times as needed before finalizing each pay sequence. This gives you the opportunity to make adjustments and corrections as needed until you're satisfied with your payroll results. So if you're ready to learn how to calculate and complete a normal pay sequence, let's get started. The first thing we need to do is log into the program, and then choose the payroll service. When the program appears, we see that our demo payroll contains 5 sample employees. If we click on the template column, we can perform a sort function, and we now see that 3 employees are paid hourly and 2 are paid by the salary method. For today's demo lesson, we will enter the work hours for the 3 hourly employees, and then we will calculate the payroll to see the results. We will not need to enter any hours for the salary employees because the program carries over salary information each pay period by default. To begin, let's navigate to the calculation screen by choosing the Payroll Processing Calculations menu command. As you can see, our demo payroll is currently at pay period 25 for the year, as shown in the period cell. Since the pay period ended on December 5th, as shown in the end date cell, the next pay period should begin on December 6th. The pay date for the period, commonly referred to as the check date, was on December 11th. As we work with our pay periods, it's important to verify the start, end, and pay dates in order to ensure the correct schedules for each pay sequence. Fortunately, eNETEmployer provides you with an automated method to assist you in verifying these dates. We'll discuss that in just a moment. The status column shows the word closed because the payroll for this period has been finalized and is no longer applicable for data entry or adjustments. The program detects that the most recent payroll is closed, so it displays a helpful message above the table explaining how we can begin a new payroll sequence. Let's follow these directions and select the New button to insert a new pay sequence into the table. The row appears in edit mode with its cells ready for editing. The status column displays the word New to indicate that it's a brand new sequence. This cell will change to read Calculated after we calculate the payroll, and eventually it will read Closed once we have finalized the process. The sequence cell reads 26 and is incremented by 1 based on the previous pay sequence, which was 25. The payroll sequence number is sequentially assigned and increments for every pay calculation regardless of the pay type. For example, if your payroll is set to semi-monthly and you calculated only normal pay types throughout the year, that is, no other special pay types, then the final sequence at year-end would be 24. That is 24 normal pays for the year. Each time you run a special pay type, such as an additional, extra, or reversal pay, the sequence number cell will increment accordingly. Moving forward, we come to the pay type cell. Since this is a regular pay sequence, we will leave it with the normal option. Other pay types include additional, extra, and 2 reversal options. To view a detailed explanation of these pay types, press the F1 key on your keyboard or use the handy help icon, the question mark located at the top of every table. This opens the online help system, which describes each column and page in detail. All descriptions are provided in alphabetical order to make it easier to locate the item for which you are looking. Moving forward, we come to the start date, end date, and pay date cells. As mentioned earlier, these dates must be set accordingly based on the previous period's dates. As you can see, the program has automatically assigned a start date of December the 6th based on the previous pay period's end date of December 5th. Similarly, the new sequence's end date is automatically set to 2 weeks after the start date. The program's automatic incrementing of these dates is very useful and saves you the time of having to calculate the dates manually. The only time you may need to modify one of these automated dates is if your pay date falls on a statutory holiday. This happens to be the case for our demo lesson and its pay date of December the 25th. So we will use this cell to adjust the pay date to December 24th, the day immediately preceding the holiday. Once the pay period is complete and closed, we would then enter a new pay sequence and reset the pay date cell accordingly so that the program will begin paying on Fridays once again. The description cell is used to enter a useful line of text that describes the pay sequence. It's not typically used for normal pay runs, but it can be useful for special pay types. For example, if you created an additional pay run, you could enter a description that explains the purpose of the added pay run. The cell is optional and is used for administrative purposes only. The message cell is also optional. It can be used to enter a company-wide note that will be displayed on every employee's pay stub. For example, you could enter something like, "Please congratulate Leslie on her 15th anniversary with our company." Note, remember to never put sensitive employee information in this cell, as it will be visible to all employees. If you wish to draft a message for a single employee, you would do so using the message option found in the Setup Employee page for each individual person. The next option is the Generate Report column. The button in this cell will only become active once you have calculated your payroll. When you choose this button, an interim payroll register report will be created so that you can review the payroll results. We will demonstrate this report shortly. The final option, Clear Year-to-Date Balance, will not be applicable to this payroll as we have not yet reached our year end. With the settings now complete for our new pay sequence, let's scroll back to the left and choose the Save icon to store our changes. We can now proceed to the next step and enter our employees' work hours. To do so, we will open the Speedy Update page by choosing the Payroll Processing Speedy Update menu command. To easily group our employees by hourly versus salary, we can click on the Regular Hours column to perform a sort function. The 3 hourly employees are now grouped together. We know that they're paid hourly because there are 0 hours shown for each of the 3 in the total hours column, as opposed to the 2 salary employees whose total hours carry over each pay period and do not need to be entered each time. Now, if we hold down the Control key on our keyboard as we click on each of the 3 hourly rows, each subsequent row will become highlighted. And once all of the rows are selected, we can enter edit mode by choosing either the Toggle Edit button or by right-clicking on the table and choosing the Edit Toggle Edit command. With the cells now ready for editing, move to the regular hours cell for each of the 3 hourly employees and enter 80. Once we are finished, we can save each individual row, or we can save all of the edited rows in one step by choosing the Edit Accept All command. Now that we've entered our employee work hours, let's calculate the payroll. To do so, we will choose the Payroll Processing Calculations command. And when the calculation screen appears, select the Calculate button from the button bar. Once the calculations are complete, a message appears above the table stating that the pay has been calculated successfully. Please check the report and save a backup before closing the pay. Notice that the status column now indicates that the payroll has been calculated. If we refer back to the message at the top of the table, it suggests that we check the report to verify our payroll results. In this case, it's referring to the interim payroll register report. And if we look to the right, the Generate Report button is now active on the current row. Let's select the button to create the interim payroll register report. This will allow us to review our payroll results. Depending on your browser settings, the resulting PDF report will either be stored in your Downloads folder, or you may be presented with a dialog box that will prompt you where to save the file. For our demo, we're using the Google Chrome browser, so I can simply click on the PDF button that has appeared at the bottom of my window, and the report will appear on the screen. Let's zoom in slightly on the report, and we'll notice that the word interim appears as a watermark in the background. This watermark will be removed once the payroll is closed. And as we scroll through the report, we can see that each employee has been paid accordingly, both salary and hourly types. And once we reach the end of the employee list, we see their overall total shown here. Active employees show 5, and paid employees show 5, along with the other totals for the employees. And as we scroll down further to the last page in the report, we can see the business accounts that are being used for the payroll, along with the federal tax, CPP, and EI amounts. With our payroll results now verified, let's close the report and return to our payroll. Referring back to the earlier message, the program also states that we must save a backup before closing the pay. This is a requirement before closing any payroll in eNETEmployer. In fact, if we attempt to choose the close button before a backup has been created, the program will display an error message warning us to do so before proceeding. To initiate the backup process, simply choose the backup button from the button bar. Again, depending on your browser settings, the resulting backup file will either be stored in your Downloads folder, or you may be presented with a dialog box that will prompt you where to save the file. As mentioned earlier, we are using the Google Chrome browser, so I can choose the Show in Folder command. And I can see that my backup file has been stored safely in my Downloads folder, ready for later use if needed. With the backup now complete, it's time to close the payroll. We can do so easily by choosing the Close button from the button bar. Upon choosing the button, the program displays one final message reminding you that closing the payroll will finalize the pay calculation and that you will no longer be able to make changes to this pay run. If this is acceptable, choose the Yes button to proceed with the close procedure. Once complete, the program again displays a note stating that the close function was successful and that we can now insert a new pay sequence when we are ready to begin our next payroll. This completes the payroll processing portion of the lesson. We can now create a variety of reports as needed to complete the pay cycle. Let's do so by opening the report screen by choosing the Payroll Processing Reports menu command. When the page opens, click on the drop-down list that appears beside the New button. This list contains the various reports that you can create with the program. For example, if we want to produce our employee pay statements, we would choose the Pay Statements option. And now when we select the New button, a report row is inserted into the table. And if you scroll through the row, you can see the various options that can be modified as needed. Once a report is added to this page, you will not need to add it again. For our lesson, we'll place a check in the background box. This will instruct the program to include a background image for our statement that shows outlines and borders, making the statement easier to read. Note, if you're using a pre-printed company statement form, you would remove the check from this cell since your forms will already include the statement borders. Once the settings are complete, we can save the row and then select the Generate Report button to create the report. When the report is ready, we can review the results on the screen and print the pay statements for each of the employees. The top portion of each page shows the employee's pay statement with the totals from the current pay period and the accumulated year-to-date totals. If we wish to email the pay stubs to our employees, we can do so by editing one of the report rows options. We can scroll to the right and place a check in the Email Statements box. Available for the Pay Statements report only, checking this box enables the Email button in the field to the right, so that electronic pay statements, or stubs, can be emailed to applicable employees who have their email address assigned in the system. Choose the Email button to initiate the Email Statements procedure. The program will display a pop-up message that prompts you to confirm this action. If this is suitable, choose OK to the message to complete the email process. The pay statements will only be sent to employees that have a valid email address defined for them in the Setup Employee screen. Employees with no email address will have their statements sent to the default printer device. Once the program has completed the sending process, a message will appear above the table indicating the number of employees who were successfully sent the statements. If an employee could not be sent an email, a note will appear beside their email address indicating the error so that you can correct the issue. For example, if you mistakenly included a space character in the employee's email address, the resulting error would display the line, "Email address contains a white space." After you correct the spelling error, you would then resend the email statement to that single employee only. To send a statement to one or more employees individually, simply edit the row and then move to the Employees cell. You can then select their name only from the drop-down list, and now when you choose the email button to send the email statements, only the selected employee or employees will be included. Continuing through the remaining report options, you can create other documents such as journal entries, check registers, ROEs, workers' compensation reports, and more. This completes the lesson on calculating and completing a normal payroll sequence. We hope you found the lesson useful, and as always, if you need a detailed explanation for any program item or function, press F1 to access the online help system at any time. Thanks for watching, and please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more how-to videos.